Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. This is Better Off Dead. Tuesday, October 21st. 2-0 on the show yesterday. We needed to get them both right to have a winning day, which is usually not a situation I want to be in. It just so happened that I liked both those favorites. We got an easy win on the Philadelphia Flyers, so that obviously worked out well. Toronto Blue Jays probably had to get a little bit lucky on that one. We had a situation where Seattle was winning most of the game. Toronto never had the lead until the final score. It was 3-1 Seattle fairly late in the game. Looked like it was probably going to be over. And they had Bizardo in. It was kind of bizarre, though, that they brought him in when they did, because I thought they were going to be using him as their closer, basically. He was in earlier in the game, and I think George Springer hit a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 7th, I believe. I had it on when it happened. I don't know. I was like, okay, I guess we're going to get this one right, even though that ended my bracket with the Mariners going down. I should not have picked the Mariners in my bracket, man, but I didn't know Wu was going to be injured, although Wu actually pitched in relief yesterday, but whatever, man. He might have been the pitcher on the mound, too, when that happened. Or, no, it was Bizardo. I just said that. I think it was Bizardo that gave up that 3-run home run. I don't know who put the guys on base, though. I had it on, but I was kind of like paying attention to multiple things. But it was a 2-0 day, so another winning day on the show. I'm going to have 2 hockey plays today, and that's going to be it. I know it is the NBA tip-off today, which I thought was 3 games, but it's 2 games. I'm going to talk about them. I am, wearing the appropriate Chet Holmgren jersey for that, because I like the white dudes, man. That's pretty much it. He's too thin, though. I don't know what's up with that. He's got to bulk up, baby. He looks too... I don't know how he could even play physically at all with how thin he is. But we're going to talk about those basketball games. Jeffrey, what's up, man? You like Seattle? There were a couple of professional handicappers that I follow were on Seattle yesterday. I think I got a little bit lucky on that one. I don't know. Wu was not Robert Redford. Yeah, Wu was awesome, but yeah, he's not the natural, if that's what you're referring to. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. All right, let's get into this. We're going to start with NHL. We do have college football tonight as well. 2 fairly ugly games, to be honest. I think one of them is a lot more ugly than the other one, though. All right. Although the uglier one is actually the one that I kind of like more, but I'm only going to have 2 plays. They're both going to be in hockey here. Hockey, we have a decent slate of hockey here today. I'm going to have a play in the Devils and Maple Leafs game, so I'm going to hold off on that for a minute. I'm going to zoom in here as well. Edmonton and Ottawa I will talk about, because that is an interesting game. One of these cross-Canadian matchups here. Edmonton 2-3-1 to start the season. I mean, I think they're better than that record would indicate right now, but they have lost 3 games in a row to the Islanders, the Devils, the Red Wings. They're still on the road here. They're finishing the road trip. And sometimes when you haven't had a great road trip, they won the first game on the road trip, lost 3 in a row. Sometimes you do get up to try to finish the road trip on the right foot. So I do think they'll actually show up for this, but it is a difficult spot as far as the fact that they're playing 3 games in 4 days, all in different cities, and they're playing 4 games in 6 days, all in different cities, and actually 5 games in 8 days in different cities too. So it's kind of a tough scheduling spot still for Edmonton just because it's so packed with games. So the fatigue factor could be real in this one. Unclear who their goalie is going to be yet in this one. They used Skinner in the previous game. It looks like he's tentatively the goalie here, but I'm not so sure about that. Well, yeah, it might be him again because they used Pickard in the game before that. So I don't know. That remains to be seen. With Ottawa, I'm pretty sure Ottawa has had a lighter schedule and they're staying at home. So it does kind of set up a little bit better scheduling-wise for Ottawa. And I do think Ottawa's better than this 2-4 record would look. They've actually had 2 days off just staying at home to sulk in this loss that they took to the Islanders, which was a game where Ottawa actually outplayed the Islanders, in my opinion at least. They have way more shots. They did out-hit them. They did out-face off them. Those stats were close, but the game wasn't a game that was like way out of reach or anything like that where Ottawa would have been like throwing up a lot of desperation shots. That wasn't the case. It was close the whole time. Ottawa actually blew a 2-0 lead in the game. So I do think this sets up better for Ottawa in this one. That would be the way I would lean in this game. Edmonton looks like they're getting some of the money up from -127 to -130. 88% of tickets, 99% or 98% of the cash on Edmonton. I don't know if that's an accurate representation of where the cash is. I do think Edmonton is a public side, though. The public is going to buy more into Edmonton, continuing to be good like they have been over the last few years, than buy into Ottawa and maybe think that maybe Ottawa was a little bit of a fluke last year, although I do think Ottawa is on the rise a little bit. But yeah, I think Ottawa getting a home underdog price there, maybe there's a little bit of value in that. Let's see. What other of these games do I want to talk about? Vancouver and Pittsburgh is kind of interesting. Vancouver did just beat Washington, which is a pretty big win. They were coming off a shootout win over the Blackhawks, which we don't want to remember because that was a loss for us on the show with the Blackhawks. Vancouver in this game, they actually had a 4-0 lead against Washington, and then they gave up 3 goals, and it got pretty close towards the end, but Washington did outshoot them, although part of that was because they were losing 4-0. But Washington did also have more hits and more face-offs in the game there. So Vancouver didn't exactly totally outplay Washington in that one, so maybe a little bit of a misleading result. It's a big win. Now they're playing a 4th game in 6 days, I believe is what this is, all on the road, all in different cities, and they had actually beaten Dallas prior to those other 2 wins. It's a step down in class to be facing Pittsburgh, but it also could be a game where Vancouver might not take Pittsburgh totally seriously. So I could see them potentially not being totally focused in this game. Could be a little bit of a letdown. The problem that I would have with Pittsburgh is they're returning home from a road trip. They've been away for a week. They went out to the Pacific Coast, and this is also something I talk about where when a team returns home from a road trip, they've been off for a while. They come back home. They have to get their stuff in order, their affairs in order, especially here because Pittsburgh actually has to go back out on the road again to face Florida next, which could be a look ahead too, but it does mean they're going to be like hurried a little bit maybe to get stuff done at home. So I don't love the spot for Pittsburgh either here. Because at first I was thinking maybe Pittsburgh will be a play here, but I don't think I can do it. Vancouver, as of now, has Demko slated as their starting goalie. He is their better goalie. Pittsburgh has Jarry is their listed potential goalie here, and I think he is their better goalie. Better, because I don't think either of their goalies are that good. But the money looks like it's indicating on the Pittsburgh side. Vancouver is public, 67% of tickets, only 51% of the cash. Pittsburgh flipped from a +101 dog to a -109 favorite. So it does kind of look like Pittsburgh is the side that the market is indicating on. But bad situation for both teams. I don't think I want to do it. I will point out that Seattle, I believe, is the only team today that's actually in a back-to-back. I think they're the only one. They played yesterday. We faded them yesterday with Philadelphia. So Seattle just something to keep in mind. They're going to Washington, and they have no time off. Washington, very heavy favorite, though. Washington also coming off a loss. So if I was going to look at this game, I'd probably be looking towards taking Washington in regulation or something like that. Washington took that somewhat misleading loss against Vancouver. The problem I would have with that is that they had a 4-game win streak prior to that was snapped. So sometimes when a team has a win streak snapped, that loss can kind of hang them over into the next game. But I don't love the Seattle back-to-back spot either, even though I know they lost last night to not a very good team. May have been looking ahead to this game. Washington, 89% of tickets, 99% of the cash can't be accurate. Minus 245 on the money line. I would probably still slightly lean to Washington in regulation in that one, though, but that's not a strong opinion, obviously. Florida at my Boston Bruins. Of course, the Bruins get this big matchup against Florida, which, the Bruins are going to be focused on Florida because it's where Brad Marchand went. Bruins basically they kind of have this recent rivalry with Florida, plus Florida eliminated them the last 2 times the Bruins were in the playoffs, plus Florida won the championship the last 2 years. It's a big game for the Bruins. The problem is the Bruins are returning home from a road trip. Very difficult spot, actually. They're returning out of elevation. They went all the way to the Pacific time zone first. Lost all 3 games on the road trip. Some people would think that might mean this is a bounce-back spot. I don't believe in that. I think that the return home from a road trip, typically a bad spot. I think the only thing that kind of takes away from it being a really bad spot is the fact that it is an opponent that they're going to be focused for. But yeah, the Bruins, not a good road trip. They're not a good team. They will have Swayman back in net here because Korpisalo played in their last game, and they had a close game against Utah at least. Utah off to a good start this year. The other 2 losses were to Vegas and Colorado. I mean, those are really good teams. Bruins in really a tight schedule here, though. They're playing a 3rd game in 4 days, 4th game in 6 days, all in different cities, and now returning back home, so they have to do stuff back at home when they get back home. This game is more important than their next game up, which is Anaheim, though. That Anaheim game, it's looking like that game is going to be a fate of the Bruins because the Bruins are going to be coming off a Florida game, and they have a revenge game against Colorado, quick revenge up after that. So possibly going to be looking towards Anaheim in the next game for the Bruins. This game I'm just going to stay off of, but I would lean to Florida on this one. Florida is already out in the Eastern time zone here. They just played at Buffalo, and they had an embarrassing loss. They got shut out 3-0. Currently, right now, it looks like Bobrovsky is slated to be in net for Florida here. He is their better goalie. We'll see if that is the case here. I think that Buffalo game, as we talked about, as we talked about on the show, or I talked about it, I thought that was kind of a sandwich spot potentially for Florida because it was a big game against New Jersey that they played. And then the Bruins, I mean, just because of the name, the Bruins, I think that captures your attention more than a Buffalo game would. But now I do think Florida is kind of in a bounce back here off of that one. That was just an embarrassing game, and I think because this is the last game of the road trip and they've had an 0-for-4 road trip so far, I do think that's a motivational aspect of this game too for Florida. They're up from minus 144 to minus 155 on the money line. 85% of tickets, 97% of the cash on Florida. If I was going to do it, it would be money line on Florida, or maybe like find a way to split bet that on the puck line and the money line. LA at St. Louis. St. Louis is coming off a big win, man, over the Dallas Stars. That was a win that we had on the show. I gave out St. Louis as a play in that one. They've had a couple of days off, but when you have a couple of days off after a huge win like that, I actually don't think that's helpful. So I think that St. Louis, they could be in a bit of a letdown spot here, man, and they could just be kind of using that time to kind of just sit in that win and think about it and be overconfident about it. Although LA is a decent team, but right now they have not started off the season decent. They're 1-3-2. Might be a bit of the more hungry team here. The problem is they're coming off a difficult game too, man. That was a loss for us on Saturday. My late ad on the LA Kings there on No Kings Day, and they tied the game and then lost in overtime against a very good Carolina team, who Carolina might be the best team in the NHL. That was a tough game for the Kings. The one good thing for the Kings is they get to start a road trip here. They also have 2 days off, So they get to kind of put that in the past a little bit at least and get out of there, go out on the road. So the fact this is a tough overtime game, a couple of days off might help them a little bit. And again, travel isn't that bad in this case. When you start a road trip, you're usually focused to get the road trip off on the right foot. Sometimes that's the best thing for you when things aren't going well at home. So I think the Kings are the better side in this game. The money is completely disagreeing with that, though, and I don't really understand it. St. Louis up from minus 113 to minus 131 on the money line. 68% of tickets on the Kings, 71% of the cash on St. Louis. So it is a big cash versus ticket disparity in that game, and I don't really agree with it. I don't see it. So that's just my thought on that. Florida is not good anymore. They're not as good as they were the last 2 years. As you know, they do have a ton of injuries, but I'm not going to say they're bad. I still think they're probably a playoff team, unless we see otherwise. New Jersey's good. That was one of their losses. Detroit has started off well, but yeah, Buffalo and Philly are pretty ugly losses. I don't know, and they don't have any impressive wins yet. Their best win is the one over Ottawa. But yeah, I don't think Florida is quite as bad as people think they are right now, though. I don't think they're like a bad team all of a sudden. All right, and then Anaheim-Nashville is going to be the game that I have the other play in. Yeah, that's about it. Colorado-Utah is just interesting, this high-elevation matchup here. Colorado still is not lost in regulation yet. Their only loss is a shootout loss to Dallas, who's one of the other best teams in hockey. It's probably right now between Dallas, Carolina, and maybe Colorado as far as which one of those teams is the best team. Colorado going out on the road here with a couple of days off. Those couple of days off actually could hurt their momentum because when you're winning like Colorado's been, you don't really want to have a lot of days off. So it's actually kind of a problem. I think that they've had a few days off here. It might stall their momentum a little bit. Don't know who's going to be in net for them today. Wedgwood has been their goalie in every single game so far. So he's a grinder, man. But it is possible that Colorado is a little bit more focused on this game back home against Carolina. They take this one weird trip to Utah, and then they go back home to Carolina. Seems like a little bit of a weird spot, to be honest. Both of these teams just beat Boston, so nobody's really going to put much weight into any of that. I don't think Utah, they have a good record so far, but I also think they're overrated because their best win is, I guess, probably the one against Boston because Nashville, Calgary, San Jose, those are all terrible. Utah had a loss to Chicago as well, and their only good opponent so far was Colorado, but this is Colorado again here. It is going to be a bit of a revenge spot for Utah. Quick revenge matters a little bit, because they remember they lost to Colorado in their home opener. So I think Utah is going to be a little bit more focused for this. Their momentum might continue because they did have only 1 day off, and they're coming off kind of an easy win. And Vanacek was in net for that one, so they will have Vemelka back in net this time, who is their better goalie. So I would have a slight lean to Utah in this one, and the money seems to be disagreeing with that too, as Colorado's up from minus 132 to minus 138. 52% of tickets, 99% of the cash on Colorado. I'm disagreeing with the market a lot. The early market read in hockey is it's tough, man, because you'll see these numbers completely shift around during the day. So I have to kind of rely on my situational handicapping more so than the market read. Although some of the market reads will kind of stay the way that they are, but still, if I see a market read in addition to the situation, I'm like, yeah, that looks good. But if I see a situation that I like, I'm going to go with that over the early market read during the day. Maybe I'll wind up fading the late market read too, but yeah, these early hockey market reads, I think it's weird because it's a daily sport. Not a lot of action comes in on the hockey, especially when other sports are going on. So the percentages that you see here, not a lot of it is truly recreational bets. A lot of it is professional bets. A higher percentage of these bets are professional than in other sports, just because that's the way it is with hockey. So you can see these percentages kind of shift dramatically. If, the professionals are trying to do something early on to fuck with the market or something like that. So those are my thoughts on all that. And then let's go to the best. We'll go best bets right now. And then we're going to talk about the NBA and the college football. First bet is probably the strongest one, and that is the Toronto Maple Leafs, minus 118 The Devils are public here. 69% of tickets, 68% of the cash. So it looks like the Devils are one of those dreaded public road underdogs here, which is not what you want. I think Toronto, solid team, flying under the radar right now. Looking at the starting goalies for this one, right now it looks like probably you're going to get both starters. Jake Allen, it's interesting with the Devils because they started out using Markstrom, and now Allen has kind of turned into their first-string goalie, so I don't know, but it will be Allen again. I think they're both solid goalies, but I'm still going to fade them in this situation. Maple Leafs, as of now, look like they're probably going to go with Stolarz, who is their better goalie. Hopefully that does wind up being the case here. But I like the situation for Toronto, too. The Devils, they started off 4-1. Really good start for the Devils. They played a pretty difficult schedule, too, so it's not like that misleading. Their one loss is to Carolina. They beat Tampa, Florida, Edmonton. Solid wins, but they're coming off those wins against Florida and Edmonton. Now they have this one game on the road up to Toronto. Kind of a weird spot, man. Like, it's not a road trip, so it's not like, oh, we want to get the road trip off on the right foot, starting a road trip. It's more like I think they're going to have their momentum stopped a little bit, and they're coming off wins against both Stanley Cup finalists from the last 2 years, Florida and Edmonton, who are both in the Stanley Cup finals the last 2 years. Those are both big wins for New Jersey, man. Now they have a couple of days off, so they kind of bask in it. I think it kind of hurts their momentum a little bit. Now they have to take this one trip just up to Toronto. It's kind of a strange spot. Yes, they have played 3 road games earlier in the season. Their one loss was one on the road, so at least there is that. Yeah, I just think it's not the greatest spot, even though Toronto generally is a team that will draw your focus. Toronto might be a little bit more of the hungry team here, especially because they've also had multiple days off, but they're not traveling, and they get to use those days off to rest after back-to-back overtime games. So it probably will be Stolarz here because they've had 2 days off, and it's a big game, bigger than this Buffalo game is going to be in a few days. This is actually a game that Toronto should have maximum focus on because they have 2 days off before and 2 days off after it. So this is the only game that they have to focus on pretty much for the entire week. So I think that's actually good. It means you're going to get more focus from Toronto as well. And the fact that they lost their last game against Seattle, and I think it was in misleading fashion too. It was in overtime. I still don't think Seattle's that good of a team. As we know, I faded them yesterday, and they took their first regulation loss yesterday. I think Toronto is the better team. Toronto wound up losing this game, but if you look at the stats, Toronto did slightly outplay Seattle. They had more hits, more shots, only by 1, but they also dominated the face-off battle. So a game that statistically it was close, but it looks like Toronto maybe should have won that game. I do think Toronto will be focused here and try to get this one done. I think, again, the public is on New Jersey right now because of their hot start, but New Jersey, I think, is only slightly better than Toronto is. I think it sets up a lot better for Toronto. So that is what we will go with in that game. As far as New Jersey against Edmonton, by the way, I think I looked at this box score, and I kind of thought that this was a little bit misleading too. New Jersey, even though they were at home, the Oilers won 58% of the faceoffs, and the Oilers outshot them 30-23. Even though, you could argue that maybe that was because the Oilers were behind 4-1, so they started throwing up a bunch of shots. Yeah, that's true. But I still think it was a bit misleading. Just statistically, it looks like the game should have at least been closer than it was. Devils did also put up an empty net goal in that game. So just other things to keep in mind. But, I think this is a good spot to play Toronto. So that's the first game. And the other game is going to be going against the market read, and we're going back to the well with the Anaheim Sucks here, the Anaheim Ducks. But we're playing against a pretty bad team again, although I know we did last time too. We played Anaheim against Chicago. We're going to fade Nashville in this one, and the money is disagreeing with me on this one strongly. Don't really get it. Anaheim has 77% of tickets, Nashville 82% of the cash. This almost just looks like last year again. It seemed like the professional money was constantly on Nashville last year, and Nashville just sucked. Like, the professionals, I think, lost a lot of money on Nashville last year, and I lost some money on Nashville last year. I think I took them more times than I should have, although I kind of avoided them more than just like the general professional money did. I remember I did have one win on Nashville against the Bruins last year, but Nashville's up from -128 to -129. I think Nashville's in a bad spot here. We're actually getting a decent underdog price on Anaheim here, so that's what I'm going to go with here. Nashville 2-2-2 to start. I mean, that's not a horrible record here. Yes, they're going to have Saros in net. So fucking ad block, man. Hate when that comes up. Just, it throws me off. Don't expect it. Fucking bullshit. I wonder if there's a setting. I could change that. I get pissed every time it happens, especially during the show. Nashville, they're returning home from a road trip, man. So even though, they're 2-2-2 right now, so the public is kind of off of them just because they do have 4 losses. I think the public, generally I thought the public would think that, when a team returns back home, they're going to bounce back because Nashville just had a pretty bad road trip where they won against Ottawa, then they lost to Toronto, Montreal, and Winnipeg. I mean, those are all pretty solid teams, though. So, yes, it is true Nashville is pretty battle-tested right now, so that's one thing I do worry about a little bit. They've had a difficult schedule so far, but they've been on the road for more than a week, man, and they went up to Eastern Canada, and then they had to go all the way to the Canadian Prairie, basically, to Winnipeg, and now they're coming back home. Yes, they have 2 days off, and that could help disrupt that losing momentum, but it's still a return home spot where they've been away for a week, man, and they did a lot of travel, so I think it's a bad spot. You return home, again, you have life to get back to. It can distract you a little bit. This Anaheim team is not a very good team, and they do have a bigger game up next against Vancouver. They actually have Vancouver, LA, Dallas, Tampa all up next, so those are all bigger games than this Anaheim game is. So it's a return home spot, and it kind of looks like a sandwich spot to me. So I think Anaheim is actually in the better spot here. Anaheim's sitting at 2-2-1 right now. Similar record, so I don't really know why Anaheim is the massively public team right now. I'm not sure I buy that. Anaheim, I know their schedule has been weak so far. The only good opponent they faced so far is Carolina, but their schedule's been a little bit less tightly packed. They only have 1 day off right now, but they're only traveling from Chicago to Nashville. It's not a huge travel leg, and they lost that game against Chicago. Maybe should have won it. We lost that on the show in overtime. It's an ugly loss, so I think Anaheim is going to try to be in bounce-back mode from that. As of right now, I'm expecting Dostal to be in net again for Anaheim, hopefully, because Mrazek was really bad in his one start. But I think it's going to be Dostal, however you pronounce his name. I think it will be him again, but maybe it won't be. Nashville is almost certainly going to go with Saros. So, yes, Nashville does have the better goalie in this game, but last year that didn't matter at all. Saros was in there. Nashville was still losing all over the place. So, I think it's a good spot to get Anaheim as an underdog, man, and that's what I'm going to do despite what the market is doing here. Anaheim, underdog, money line. Leafs, hell yeah. Yeah, George Soros. Yeah, Juice Soros. Juice Smollett. Yeah, it's Juice Saros, I think is his name. He's actually, to me, I think he's like one of the better goalies in all of hockey, man. Just, he's on such a bad team, and I don't know, last year he did not have a good year, so I don't know, man. All right, let's go to NBA, and then I'll talk about college football. I always talk about football last. We have 2 NBA games here. Of course, the first one up, 7:40 p.m. Eastern, which is going to be, I assume... Oh, no, I thought it was going to be on ESPN. It's not. It's on NBC and Peacock. Both of these games are. So NBC, Peacock, doubleheader. Of course, if one game runs into the other, like with the NFL last night, the first game I think will continue to be aired on... I assume NBC will just continue to air the end of it, and then the other game you'll have to start watching on Peacock. The first game maybe is a little bit more of the interesting one, although we're looking at 4 teams that all made the playoffs last year. The first game is Houston at Oklahoma City because, of course, Oklahoma City gets the first game, kind of like what the NFL does. The previous year's champion gets to have the first game at home. They get to raise the banner. And I can see that going both ways, to be honest. I can see the banner raising being a little bit of a distraction. You kind of get overconfident a little bit, and your opponent kind of comes in and gets a little bit more fired up to try to beat you because you already want to beat the returning champs. But like if they raise their banner in front of you, it kind of motivates you a little bit more. So the money is coming in on the Rockets here. I'm not going to necessarily disagree with that, but I have some issues with the Rockets as well. Well, one major issue, really. And you might know what that is if you follow me. The Thunder are up from 6.5 to 7, so the Thunder are getting a lot of respect. Yes, they were the best team in basketball last year. They won the title as well. They were really good at home. Very, very good for sure. The Rockets are still kind of this up-and-coming team that snuck into the playoffs last year, and I believe they actually made it to the second round, if I'm not mistaken, in the playoffs last year. Nice little run for the Rockets last year. I don't believe they met up with OKC during the playoffs, though. So it's not going to be like a playoff revenge scenario here. I don't believe. Am I wrong about that? I don't think I am. Houston beat Golden State last year, I think, and then they lost to who did they lose to? I don't even remember. I'm going to look right now. I should have looked beforehand. No, they lost to Golden State. What am I saying here? That's right. Golden State eliminated them, of course. Yeah, I don't know why I forgot that. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so that was a 7-game series. So, yeah, so Houston did not win their first series in the playoffs. My mistake, because I was thinking, who else did they play? But Oklahoma City, I mean, basically their entire team is coming back. So they're going to be obviously one of the best teams again. SGA is here. Jalen Williams is out right now, though, so something to keep in mind. Williams was a key component for their team last year, that big run of theirs. So he's like the one main issue here. He's the one guy that's out from their starting lineup. So something to keep in mind. Not Jalen Williams, by the way. Jalen Williams. They're pronounced the same. What do you want me to do? Jalen. The starting Jalen Williams is out. So I think Caruso is going to wind up starting instead. I mean, it'll downgrade Oklahoma City a little bit. Like, Williams is one of those, like, role players that I think doesn't, like, get totally enough respect. Houston, though, I think Houston's got some issues here, too. The main thing is we know what they did over the offseason. They added Kevin Durant. They traded, I forget who they traded for him. They traded one of their young dudes, I think, from last year. They traded him. They still have Smith, Sengun, however you pronounce their names. They're good. Durant, I'm not a fan, man. I think Durant is well past his prime. I think this was a stupid move by Houston. I mean, yeah, you're getting a lot of experience with Durant, but when's the last time he did anything? I mean, I guess it wasn't that long ago, but it was when he was with Golden State. Durant was kind of a train wreck when he was on Phoenix, man, so I think he's past his prime. I don't think he's a very good team player, to be honest. And I think that this is it's a problem in like the first game too, because when you add like a huge star player like this and he's going to be in the starting lineup like this, I think it takes a little while for that team to gel. Like, basketball is a sport where like chemistry matters the most, because you only got 5 guys out there on the court. You really need chemistry in basketball. And when you add a new component like that, that's going to be a guy who wants to be like the guy, that could completely shift the dynamics of the team, and these other guys won't be used to it. Durant won't be used to playing in this lineup, so I can't do anything with the Rockets in their first game of the regular season with this new lineup. I know, yeah, they played in preseason a little bit, whatever, but I can't do it, man, so I just got to stay away. I mean, I'm not even sure if I actually necessarily agree with the Rockets side in general, to be honest. I think the Durant issue, I think, is actually the biggest issue. I think that's worse than the fact that the Thunder might be a little bit distracted or whatever. So I might actually slightly lean into the Thunder in that game, to be honest. But it's not definitely not something I want to do. 5 is a key number. There are a lot of key numbers in basketball, but it's mostly I mean, a lot of the numbers are key, but they're not as significantly key as in football. But like 2 and 3, 1, 2, and 3 are kind of the most key. Maybe 4 a little bit. 5, I think, is less so. The real key number in the NBA is 7, though. In basketball in general, like the most key number is 7, because that's the 3-score threshold. Teams stop intentionally fouling at the end when they fall down 7. So 7 is like by far the most key number in basketball. The rest of the numbers don't matter as much. Fernando, what's up, man? You like the under in the game, or Rockets team total under? It looks like the money's coming in on the over here, but I don't really disagree with you. 74% of tickets, 80% of the cash on the over. I mean, it's the first game of the season. First game of the season, your offense isn't like completely clicking yet, and especially with the Rockets, because again, they have that huge new component with Durant. So I kind of like that Rocket team total under, because I think their offense is going to take a little while to get going. It's easier to just get going on defense. And it's easier for the first game of the season to just be out there playing defense. Like, offenses start a little bit slower, so I don't disagree with that. I don't really know why the money's coming in on the over in this one. Total is up to, 228, which is a somewhat high total. Yeah, so I agree with that. I think the Rockets team total under is maybe the better of those ideas. Defense for a few games, yeah. And then we do have Warriors-Lakers is the late game here at L.A., of course. Golden State at L.A., also NBC Peacock, 10 p.m. Eastern. The market read on this one is actually somewhat strong, I would say. The Warriors flipped from a 3.5 dog to a 3-point favorite. That's because LeBron is out. So I think with LeBron in the game, the Lakers are going to be a 3.5-point favorite. And LeBron, just because he's LeBron, I don't think he's worth that many points, to be honest, man. So just because he's LeBron, the line moved 6.5 points to a point where the Warriors are favored on the road at the L.A. Home opener. That seems insane to me. 59% of tickets on the Warriors, 54% of the cash on the Lakers. It's basically an injured player spot for the Lakers because, the team's going to have to step it up without LeBron. But is LeBron really worth 6.5 points at this point, man? He's like, what is he, 40 years old? I mean, yeah, he's a superstar. Yeah, he's still pretty good, but he's not like this dominant player that he once was, man. So I think he's being overvalued in the market just because he is LeBron. So I am going to agree with the market in this one. I do lean to the Lakers in this one. Almost tempting to actually play it, like just because I think the market overreacted. But I want to have a little bit more than that to bank on more so than just a market overreaction on its own. Golden State, they do have one new starter basically this year, which is my guy, Al Horford, no longer on the Celtics. Thought he might retire. He's actually going to be starting for the Warriors tonight, it looks like. So he's in there. So that's the one kind of main change for Golden State. Other than that, I think their lineup is pretty much the same, though. It's still Steph Curry. Moody is out, though, so it looks like Hield is probably going to slip into that shooting guard role. Butler's day-to-day, but I think Butler is going to play. Butler was one of their late additions last year, but at least with Butler, he got like a bunch of games under his belt with Golden State, so I think he does have some chemistry with them at this point, and Draymond is still there, too. But, I mean, this is an aging team, though. Like when your youngest guy, well, Buddy Hield is going to be the youngest guy, I guess, in their starting lineup. But when Butler is really like the youngest guy, and you're like in your primary four guys, I don't think that's a great sign either. So yeah, man. I mean, this is an old Golden State team. I'm going to call them Olden State from now on. And LA, of course, with their depth, we know they have Luka, who at least got some games, under his belt with LA last year. It'll be him, Reeves, Hachimura, Ayton, who they added late last year too, and Vanderbilt, I guess, is going to slip into that role where LeBron is out. I don't know, man. The Lakers have a pretty thin roster, in my opinion, so I don't know, man. I think that's what kind of was their downfall last year. I think they don't have a whole lot of depth, and I still don't think they do. But this is game one where everybody's coming out there fresh. I agree with the market again. I would take the points with the Lakers in this one. It's their home opener. LeBron's being overvalued in the market. Like, they can win without LeBron. They were able to do it. LeBron, I mean, he got a lot of rest at different points last year. And, like, they're used to playing without LeBron. So they can definitely do that. It's just a matter, like, are the Lakers going to, like, completely gel? I don't know. But at least Ayton and Butler were, what am I saying? Ayton and Butler on the Warriors, but at least the Lakers with Luka. No, Luka and Ayton are on the Lakers. What am I saying? Yeah, Luka and Ayton. Yeah, at least they got some games. I'm all messed up this morning. They at least got some games under their belt. Playing together with the Lakers, so the chemistry will have built up a little bit there. So that's what I meant to say. The older State Warriors, yeah. You have Cavs to win at plus 760. Interesting. They're going to be good. I don't know. I would have to think about that. I don't know. The price almost seems a little bit too low, but maybe not because of the way Cleveland just exited the playoffs last year. Maybe there is some value on that. I do think they're going to be one of the contenders, especially because the Celtics are not going to be a threat in the Eastern Conference this year. So, I don't mind that, actually. And you're going to probably have some hedging opportunities later. All right, college football, and then I will get out of here. Yeah, the Cavs, I mean, they were better than they looked last year, but that Indiana team had more playoff experience than the Cavs did. I think that definitely played a role in what happened in the playoffs there. And the Cavs, I think, had to deal with some. The Cavs were pretty injured in the playoffs last year, too. I'm still not totally sure how good the Cavs are, though. Like, are the Cavs one of those teams that's just really good during the regular season and then not really great in the playoffs? I don't really know, man. I'm not sure. Yeah, they were really good in the regular season, yeah. Celtics are weaker. I don't know, man, because even last year I thought the Knicks were better than the Cavs. Like I kept saying the Knicks had a better chance to win the conference than the Cavs did last year, and I'm not sure that I would disagree with that sentiment again this year, but I would have to look and see like what the situation is. College football, we have, what is this, 2 Conference USA games here. With Kennesaw State and Florida International up first at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Kennesaw State actually kind of sneaky right now, man. They're 4-2 right now after they were really new to the FBS and they had a really bad season last year, but they've definitely improved this year. They actually played Wake Forest really close earlier in the season. They got blown out by Indiana, but whatever. Since then, they've reeled off 4 straight wins. They're coming out of a bye, though. And I think that bye might actually be unhelpful to Kennesaw because they went into the bye on a 4-game win streak, including blowing out Louisiana Tech in their last game. And that was as a home underdog. Louisiana Tech, not a bad team, and they were a 5.5-point favorite on the road at Kennesaw. And Kennesaw annihilated them 35-7. And if you look at the stats here, Kennesaw did outgain them, but Louisiana Tech did have 2 turnovers as well, which kind of led to why the game was such a blowout. Kennesaw did outgain them by almost 100 yards still, though. So they did outplay Louisiana Tech, although not as much as it looked like on the scoreboard. And when a team goes into a bye on a really good note like that, a 4-game win streak, a big upset like that, I think the bye is a little bit of a momentum stopper, man. So I don't really love how this sets up for Kennesaw. Kennesaw, you also have to kind of look into what they're doing with their quarterback here because Williams II, I guess, was their starting quarterback early in the season. Maybe he got hurt, and then they had Odom in there for a while, and Williams II came back, I guess, in their most recent game. So maybe that is going to help their offense. I don't really know. I don't know much about Kennesaw State's personnel. I know they didn't really have much of anything last year. But just something to keep in mind, although Odom is more of a dual-threat quarterback, it looks like, than Williams is. So just something to keep in mind, although I think Kennesaw is the better team over FIU, although Kennesaw, I mean, their other wins besides the Louisiana Tech one are not that impressive. They beat FCS Merrimack. They beat Arkansas State, and that was a game I gave out on the show on Kennesaw there. Arkansas State was in a really bad spot. We got that one right. Kennesaw is an underdog there, and then Kennesaw only beat Middle Tennessee by 8. Middle Tennessee is awful this year, so I don't know. It's hard to gauge what Kennesaw State really is right now. In a way, I don't think they're as good as their record looks. Florida International, FIU, they've faced a more difficult schedule than Kennesaw. They've played Penn State. They played Delaware. I mean, we know what Penn State has been doing, but Penn State is still a really difficult opponent for a team like FIU to face. FIU beat FAU, who's been a decently competitive team. Delaware, who's actually been pretty good in their transition to FBS. UConn, who actually looks like they're headed to another bowl here. So that UConn's not an easy team to face either. And then in their most recent game, FIU did beat Western Kentucky. FIU does not have a bye, but they're also coming off an upset win. That was kind of a big win. They went to Western Kentucky. I think Western Kentucky may be a little bit overrated this year, even though they are 5-2 right now. Western Kentucky was a 9.5-point favorite in that game, and Florida International was able to beat them. Western Kentucky was -3 in turnovers, so that kind of made the game a little bit worse. But FIU did also outgain them by over 100 yards, so it wasn't totally misleading. But they are coming off a big upset, and their upset was a little bit bigger than Kennesaw's was. But Kennesaw, I think that bye came at a bad time. I do think both teams will get up for this because this is a midweek primetime game, and I think the home team actually gets up a little bit more for a midweek primetime game like this. But I know the money is coming in on Kennesaw because I looked at the market earlier. So I think it's basically the professionals are actually saying that Kennesaw is actually the better of these two teams, which may be the case because I don't think either of these teams are really that good. Jenkins is back for FIU, which I thought FIU was kind of a passing first offense with Jenkins in there, like, because that's what they were doing last year, I think. But it looks like they're actually more of a run-based attack now with Owens as their lead rusher in every single game, though. So I don't know, but the money's coming in on Kennesaw. It looks like FIU is a public home underdog, which is crazy. The public, even though Kennesaw has the better record, the public is still not wanting to do it. Kennesaw up from 1-3 here. 73% of tickets, 56% of the cash on FIU. That type of market read is a red flag to me. When you have a home underdog like that getting a lot of the ticket percentage, I tend to want to go against that. So, because I think both teams are kind of in a bad spot, letdown spot. I mean, I guess I'll agree with Kennesaw State, but it's not a strong opinion, man. I really don't like the fact they're coming out of a bye that might hurt their win streak there, so I don't love it at all. The money's also coming in on the over. 68% of tickets, 80% of the cash on the over. Total up from 48 to 49. It's a low total. I mean, it's two offenses that are not great. I mean, the teams just aren't great in general, so I don't know. I mean, I guess there is the potential that this game could go over if the defenses are also not great, but I don't really have a good read on the total in that one at all. What are we talking? We're talking about NBA futures here still. Sixers over 42.5 wins. I don't disagree with it. The Sixers, I mean, their problem is they have head cases on. I don't even know, like, did they get rid of Embiid or, like, what's going on? Because, like, the Sixers, they just seem to have these massive head cases. They have, like, tons and tons of injuries, and that's the reason why they do so bad. But generally, yeah, I think based on what the talent level is that they have, yeah, I mean, they're being undervalued as far as, like, what their talent is. They should have more wins than they should have had more wins than they did last year. To win the NBA Cup, I don't know. I'm not going to do anything. The NBA Cup is total bullshit, man. It's it's a meaningless in-season tournament. I hate that whole thing. It's not going to be the best team in the NBA that wins it. I'll tell you that. But I don't know. It's whoever gets motivated enough to make the run through the whole thing. It's almost impossible to determine that. Right, exactly. Saab, you are correct. Yes. Warriors or Lakers for the cup again. Yeah, I mean, there's no way that I would put money on that because teams just aren't motivated to win that thing. Like, teams get motivated to win it once they make it through a certain point of it, and then they go, all right, let's win this thing. And it's usually a team that's not going to be one of the actual championship contenders, although we've only had this thing for a couple of years, so the whole thing is fucking stupid. Embiid, Paul George, yeah. I mean, if they could stay healthy and stop being assholes, then Philadelphia should win more than they did. Yeah, I will never bet on the cup. Like, I completely ignore it to the point where when I handicap the cup games, when I handicap them like regular season games. So, like, I completely ignore the fact that it's a cup game, except for maybe the final. In which I think both teams kind of tend to be motivated. All right, and then the final college football game here, Western Kentucky at Louisiana Tech. I mean, these two teams are better than Kennesaw and Florida International, at least. It's interesting because we have Kennesaw, who just upset Louisiana Tech, FIU, who just upset Western Kentucky, and all these teams are playing today. So the two underdogs that pulled off upsets are playing each other in the first game, and the two favorites that got upset are playing in the second game. Western Kentucky at La Tech here. La Tech is the favorite here, but they're up from 3 to 3.5, but they're public. 81% of tickets, only 79% of the cash. So for some reason, it's weird that La Tech is public because you'd think that Western Kentucky would actually get more name recognition and the public would want to take Western Kentucky as an underdog because they're 5-2. Everybody kind of sees Western Kentucky around, you know. It seems like they're always in a bowl game, which they will be again unless something really crazy happens. They're in a bounce-back spot. They played last week again, and they lost that game to FIU. Maybe a little bit misleading as well because Western Kentucky was -3 in turnovers. So they could use this week to kind of fix that shit. They still got Maverick McIver at quarterback, and he had his worst game of the year last time out. So I don't think he's going to be that bad again. He's got an awesome name, so he should bounce back from that really ugly performance last time. So it does look like a bounce-back spot for Western Kentucky here. For La Tech, they had that loss, like I said, last time out to Kennesaw, and they went into a bye. So they went into a bye on a bad note, and when a team goes into a bye on a bad note, they usually turn things around. Like, they can use that bye to fix things. La Tech also lost the turnover battle in that game. It was a little bit misleading. They're coming out of that. They're hosting a primetime game. It's a positive spot for Louisiana Tech here as well. Louisiana Tech's more of a rushing attack, and Western Kentucky is actually not very good at defending the run. So that is a concern for Western Kentucky, that the La Tech offensive strength matches up against their defensive weakness. La Tech, as you can see, they can't really throw the ball too well. They've had 3 different quarterbacks between Kukuk, who either got hurt or didn't do anything, and we still got the cover. You remember me talking about Kukuk because I gave out La Tech in that game against LSU, and LSU did not cover. We got the cover right with La Tech in that one. He was gone after that, maybe just because he sucked. Suck. And then they went to the Kukuk clan. And then we went to Baker, I guess they did. And then Bullock was their leading passer. I don't know what's going on with La Tech's quarterback situation. It's not a good one, though. But yes, they can run the football, and that's what they're going to try to do here. But teams are going to know they're going to try to run the football. So that's kind of a problem. Like, I think La Tech is, even though that's their offensive strength, they're also one-dimensional. So I don't know, man. Like, to me, the buys actually hurt Kennesaw State a little bit more and help Louisiana Tech a little bit more. But the money is coming in on the Kennesaw State side and a little bit towards Western Kentucky, and I don't really disagree with it. So I guess I'll slightly lean with the market in those 2 games, but obviously no play on those 2 games. And there are better college football games this week than to try to get your money tied up in those games. The total in that game, Western Kentucky, Louisiana Tech, is up a little bit to 50 with juice. 54% of tickets, 74% of the cash on the under, though. So the money coming in on the under. I mean, I can kind of see that because I do think you're looking at 2 one-dimensional offenses at the very least. Like, I think Western Kentucky basically just throw the ball, and Louisiana Tech pretty much just runs the ball. So I think you do have a setup with one-dimensional offenses where I think the defenses will know what the opposing offenses are going to do. So that's it, man. No strong opinions on those games, though. If I was going to add another game, it would probably be I'm tempted with the Lakers. I'll stay off of it, but I think the Lakers are the best read in the what am I even talking? The Lakers are the best of the 2 NBA games, in my opinion. The Lakers plus the points. Lonzo Ball is now on the Cavs. Which Ball is that again? Was he? Which team was he on, man? I'm gonna look real quick. I forget which Ball was which. Lonzo Ball. Let me see. He was, which one was he? He was the one who, that's right. He was on Lakers. That's right. I remember him being on the Lakers. Then he was on New Orleans and then Chicago. So I have a Ball jersey, but I think it's LaMelo Ball, right? I have a Charlotte Ball jersey, which I have these are all right jerseys. I got a few like more modern NBA jerseys, although they're screen printed, but it feels like it's like decent screen printing. Like, it's not actually like paint that's going to wear off, but I like the the letters might like peel. I don't know. I don't love it, but I don't know. We'll see. I got some better quality NBA jerseys from the past, though, but I figured I had to get some new NBA jerseys, and they were cheap at least. I'll try not to wash them as much. But, yeah, I have a Ball jersey just because I think he used a slur or something with a reporter or something. I was like, hell yeah, I like this Ball guy. I think that was LaMelo Ball, I'm pretty sure, on the Hornets. Plus, I like the Hornets colors, so I think I went with that. The Hornets, by the way, that was like a huge thing in the 90s, man. The Charlotte Hornets, they were the team that everybody repped just because of their colors. I don't know if you guys remember that, if you guys are as old as I am. That was the thing, although of course I'm from Boston, so everybody rooted for the Celtics, but if you had another team that you wanted to rep with one of those starter jackets or whatever, it was the Charlotte Hornets because their colors were so 90s, dude. It was the same colors as Taco Bell back then, the teal and the purple. And then the Hornets had to go move to New Orleans. They had to become the New Orleans Pelicans. And then the Charlotte Bobcats came in, and now the Bobcats became the Hornets. But the original Hornets that were the 90s team, they're the Pelicans now. Man, at least the new Hornets at least kind of brought back those same colors, but still, nothing beats that 90s, man. So, yeah. Cavs are deep. Yeah, they are. They were deep last year, too. But they lost. I mean, they had a lot of injuries in the playoffs, so it definitely hurt them. Cavs at 7-1. Yeah, I mean, that's so who was it? Saab, you made the play on the Cavs. You got it at a little bit of a better number than that, I think. Yeah, LaMelo from Charlotte. Yeah, he's their only good player. Teal, yeah, I have one of those alternate. My Hornets jersey is like the alternate. It's a teal color. It's like sea green almost, which I like. I like green, baby. That's going to do it. Once again, the plays, both hockey plays today. Maple Leafs money line, Ducks money line. A couple of games that are right in that range of like pick the winner. Let's get 2 wins, man. Although if the favorite wins, then we're guaranteed a little bit of a winning day if Toronto wins. So there is that. Let's do it. Let's get it done. Unlike last night, where last night we needed both favorites to win. Otherwise, it was going to be a losing night in one way or another. If we went 1-1, it would have been a slight loss. Let's get it done. Learn to Tone on Twitter. Learn to Tone on Instagram. Like, subscribe to the channel here, man. It all helps me out. Audio platforms, Spotify, Apple, go give me a good review over there. Give it a listen over there, and that helps me out. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube, so check that out. I got to get some more Halloween stuff in over the last week or so. Got to get a couple more covers out there probably. Charles, I don't know where he is right now. I still got to get the Monster Mash one up there that he wants. So sorry, I gave it out. Nobody watches this show, though, but that's what he requested. I'm going to try to do it. I think it just won't turn out that well just because I can't really do the, I forget the guy's name, but the deep vocals. Like, I don't know. It's just not the way that my voice is, but I'll try. And then patreon.com/learntotone. You can get some bonus Uke content there. There's a Spotify feed. And like Charles, you can actually request stuff if you're a Patreon there. You can message me and request stuff. That's going to do it. Thanks for hanging out this morning, guys. I'll be back tomorrow morning. We have a big NBA board tomorrow. We might have my first NBA play tomorrow, but we will see. The first NBA games, though, I tend to be pretty light on the first. Like, sometimes I won't even have any plays just because I wait for situations to kind of show themselves. So it's possible I still avoid the board tomorrow, but we will see. We're going to have more college football tomorrow as well, and more NHL as well. It's going to do it for now. Peace.